Everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Mark Darling, Senior Strategic Alliances Manager at Avalara. I'm joined by my colleagues Sophia and Mark from our partner CUVIV UK. This webinar is being recorded and we're going to share it with you after the call, so please share it with anyone who couldn't attend. At the end of the session, we're going to have time for Q&A, so please enter any questions into the chat. Now I'll kick things off. We're going to talk a little bit about Avalara. This year is our 20th birthday. So at the end, if you all want to sing happy birthday, we don't mind, but you can do so in your own privacy. But you can see here that we've got almost 5,000 employees. We're all over the world, basically. And what I want to talk about is really our end-to-end compliance solutions, where we help companies who are thinking about entering into new markets, such as the US or in Europe, and help them with our tax research team to understand what their risk and exposure is and their obligations are regarding tax. Once they've actually seen that research, they can then think, right, now we need to get registered. Is it for VAT, for GST, in Europe or in Asia Pac, or is it sales and use tax over in the US? Also, we'll also help people get registered for invoicing. Sophia's going to talk about that a little bit later. With some of the requirements for shipping goods around the world, the harmonized system of commodity codes was introduced. We can help with that. We can also help with duties and cross-border and duties and tariffs. One of the things we're going to focus on immediately is tax determination. And that's something we've been working with CUVIV on. And that is to actually calculate and work out how to manage the landscape of an extremely complex tax regimes in countries like the US. Then, as I mentioned, Sophia's going to talk a little bit about e-invoicing. I'm going to cover some things about VAT returns and how we handle all the various declarations across the world. But however, don't necessarily take our word. This is something that came out just before Christmas last year, the latest report from G2, who are in the business of asking customers what they think of the particular solutions that they use. And for sales tax and VAT compliance software, for the 20th quarter in a row, or 5 years to the rest of us, Avalara has been posted top right as a leader in that solution. So just want to say thank you for everyone who voted for us. And with that, I'm now going to hand over to my colleague Sophia, who's going to talk to you about the challenges you face with US sales tax. Hey, Sophia.
Hey, hello. Thank you so much, Mark. And good morning for everyone for joining today on this lovely morning. I heard it's not that great in England, but hey ho, it's still just February. So I'm going to kick up with US sales tax and its challenges. I have been working with Avalara for a number of years now and helping quite a lot of companies with US sales tax compliance. And then when we start talking about US sales tax compliance, there's one word which is extremely important to learn. It's nexus. What does that mean? It's basically a fancy word explaining the connection between your company and the tax authorities in America. There are two main types of nexuses that I'm going to talk about. One of them is the physical nexus, and the other one is the economic nexus. So physical nexus, it's in its name. What does it mean? So basically, if you've got any kind of physical activity, physical presence in the US, that means that you need to start registering for US sales tax, calculate that tax, and collect that tax. There are a number of different sorts of activities that can trigger physical nexus. What are those? You can see them on the slide. It could be quite surprising that you would not even think that you can trigger physical nexus by visiting a trade show or just by visiting your clients in a number of states. But unfortunately, yes, indeed, these activities can mean that you have physical nexus in those states. Apart from the physical nexus, what's the other very important topic that we need to talk about is it's the economic nexus. So since 2018, since the Wayfair ruling against South Dakota means that there are 47 states currently that have enacted economic nexus mandates. It means that it doesn't really matter if you do not have any physical presence in America, you are still liable for sales tax. There is a threshold amount that we need to also monitor. So generally speaking, it's around 200 transactions per year or $100,000. It depends which state we're talking about, because, for example, California's got a bit higher threshold, but normally it's either 200 transactions or $100,000 turnover per year. So on this slide, what I wanted to highlight is it's not just, you know, the nexus that we need to talk about. Unfortunately, in America, products have different sort of taxability regulations as well. So one of my favorite example is the bagels in New York. So if you go to New York State and you buy sliced bagels, then those are taxable. But if they are not, they are whole, then they are exempt. And there are so many other types of examples such as this, just like as if you can see in Texas, if you buy 5 donuts, then they are taxable. Or if you buy more than 5 donuts, then they are exempt. And there are hundreds of thousands of different sort of regulations that we need to take into consideration when we talk about product taxability. But that's not a problem, because we can definitely help you with that. And especially that we do have a accuracy guarantee in our terms and conditions, which means that we do guarantee the correct sales tax calculation for your transactions. The other topic within US sales tax is not just the product taxability, but also the jurisdictions. Quite often, whenever I talk to clients, they think that there is one sales tax rate per state, but unfortunately, that's not true. So currently, there is around 13,000 or a bit more sales tax jurisdictions in the state. So, for example, if we take Florida, in Florida, there's around 1,000 different taxing jurisdictions. So essentially, for the same product, there could be 1,000 different sales tax rates. And on this slide, what I wanted to highlight is the very, 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 very big differences between sales tax rates for the same product that could happen, you know, within different jurisdictions. So, for example, this screenshot was taken in Denver. And then within the same street, as you can see, for the same product, your neighbor can pay a completely different sales tax rate just by, you know, being in a different jurisdiction. So the different colors will represent different jurisdictions just within the zip code. So we usually ask our clients to give us the full address of their clients, their customers. And the reason being is because, unfortunately, zip codes are not enough in order to determine the correct sales tax of a transactions. And how do we do it? So we do have a geo sort of location software, and then with this we can pinpoint the exact location, just like a Google Maps, for example. So we can pinpoint the exact location of our customers, and then with this we can definitely calculate the correct sales tax. And on the bottom of this slide, you can see that a sales tax amount can have different line items as well. So as I mentioned, it's not just only the state tax that we need to take into consideration, but there are different other jurisdictions as well, such as a county level, city level, and even within the city there are so many different kinds of districts as well that can add up to the full amount of sales tax. After, you know, determining sales tax or the product taxability, there's another very important topic that we need to highlight, is the exemption certificate management. And why is this important? Because on the globe, in most of the countries, when we talk about B2B sales, reverse charge is in play. Unfortunately, again, when we talk about the United States, that's not the case. So in order to manage your exempt sales, you will always need to obtain an exemption certificate from your customers. So unfortunately, there is no reverse charge in play in America. Our software can definitely handle this as well for you. It's fully automated. And the reason why so many of our customers use this module within the software is because, it's, again, unfortunately, it's quite complex. Each and every state has its own idea how to handle these these certificates, and different kinds of activities will have different kinds of documents. So for example, if your customer is a reseller, that will mean it's a different document, and again it's a different document in each and every state, and all of these documents will have to be validated, because the onus is on you, not on your buyer, unfortunately. So they might be giving you wrong information, or the certificates that they might be giving you could not be correct. But with the software that we have, what we can do is we can validate those certificates for you in an automated way, and also we can monitor them and let you know once you will need to renew those certificates as well, because quite often you will have to do it on an annual basis. And last but not least, when we talk about sales tax registration, sales tax determination, exemption certificates, what we can help you with is also sales tax filing. Because again, each and every state has a completely different sort of process on how to handle the registration, but the returns. And then this is also a completely fully automated process within our software. And should you have any questions, or should you have any sort of tax notices or tax communications coming from the states or the tax authorities, you should not be worried. We can definitely help you with that as well. And last but not least, our software that I have been talking about, Avatax. So with the CUVIV connector, we can fully automate the whole process for you, from registration till the return side of things. On this slide, you can see a little bit simplified version of an API call, but I think it's a great slide just to give you an idea how the API call would work between your ERP and our software. So essentially, there are two main types of information that we need from your ERP. It's the address and the product. Basically, the product mapping will happen with the help of CUVIV during the implementation. But after we've received all of these two information, what we will do, we will look up whether that transaction is an exempt transaction. And then if it's not, then we will look up the sales and use tax rates and rules. And if custom duties and custom rules are also in play, we will calculate that for you as well. So it's not just only the US sales tax that we can cover for you, but we have the VAT content on a global perspective as well, and also the custom duties too. And then after all of this, we will calculate the sales tax or the VAT or the custom duties and send it back to your ERP via the connector within milliseconds. And if I'm not correct, it happens in 0.2 millisecond if I'm correct, but it could be even faster than that. And then after that, you have all that information stored in your ERP as well. We also offer different other kind of services should you need help, identify your Nexus activities, or if you need any help with historical compliance, we can help you with that too. And now I would like to give it back to Mark. Maybe you are still mute, Mark. I'm sorry.
You would think after all those years we'd remember to put our microphones back on, wouldn't you, Sophia? Oh, well, I'm only human after all. Yeah. Well, thanks anyway. That was really good for helping us understand how Avalara tames the Wild West in terms of the very complex tax requirements. And thankfully, we have a partner like CUVIV where we can connect SAP to our solution. And I know Mark's going to talk about that in a little bit. But before we get to that, we're going to talk something about if we kind of head east from the US and move over to land more familiar, at least to ourselves. And well, okay, it can't be hard over here, can it? In Europe and in Asia Pac. Well, I think one of the things that we know at Avalara is that a little bit like the States and the US, all the different countries in Europe and Asia Pac have come up with their own rules and regulations, not so much for determining what tax is, but actually filing a VAT return. For example, in the UK, there's a digital format, and they've got one in Germany, but it's different. They've got one in the Netherlands, and it's different. So again, you've got these various different sort of methods of filing, but then within other countries such as Italy, Spain, Hungary, and Poland, they've got extremely complex methods of creating the return and the actual filing as well. And we're going to get a little bit into that. So one of the great things about Avalara is we have a single integration where we can automate the filing of the returns and take care of all that complexity. And we support over 50 countries. I'll be showing you a list of those in a little while. But that single interface basically handles all the filing and declarations that are required. And as with Avatax, we have a team of over 300 researchers to make sure that we are keeping the rules and regulations and the changes to duties and tariffs all up to date within our system. So how do we handle that? Well, what we do, we take basically the invoice data from the source system through an API, and then we run over 160 compliance checks. I'll give you an example of that. It might be that on an invoice it says it's a domestic supply, but it's actually a shipment from Spain to Portugal. Well, clearly that is not a domestic supply, that's an export. So then what we would do is present that as an error or a warning to a user and say, there's something not quite with this invoice. You need to make it either a change within the application, or if you can wait, make the change at the source and then rerun. Some customers like to bring their GL into our tool and run a reconciliation from their VAT returns. But when we're ready to file, we will create an automated return, and that will be submitted to the tax authority in the method that's required and the language that's required and when it's required. As we mentioned earlier, we've got direct filing for where that exists. In some countries, it's filing a format, typically XML, is sent to the tax authority. And in some countries, we create a PDF because still you have to go into the tax authority portal and put the totals for the box numbers in. We have another unique element here is we are connected to the EU's VIES VAT number checker, so we make sure that the VAT numbers are registered within the EU. And this slide here gives you an idea of all the countries that we can produce VAT returns for through that single integration. I'm just going to pause there because I'm sure you'll be having a little look through there to see if all the countries that you're interested are there. But don't forget, this webinar is being recorded and will be shared with you after. So now we've covered it, VAT. Surely that's everything we need to worry about for all the mandates in the world. But unfortunately not. There's some new stuff coming, and Sophia's going to talk to you about that now with the invoicing.
Thank you, Mark. So yes, I'm going to continue with e-invoicing. So this has been the trending topic in 2023, and I'm quite sure that I think most of the people are quite bored of this. Unfortunately, this is genuinely the upcoming one of the most important things that we need to talk about, and not just in 2023, but in the upcoming years as well. So we talked about the US sales tax compliance, we talked about VAT compliance on a global perspective, but now we need to definitely touch up on invoicing. And the reason being is because we would like to make sure that our clients who are international clients and then sell globally, we can help them with regards to tax and compliance. So invoicing, we have a solution. It's called Avalara Invoicing and Live Reporting. It's not a very, I should say, exciting name, but everything is in its name. So basically, with this solution, we can help our customers to streamline their global invoicing compliance. And why is this important? Because as we talked about in the US, that each and every state work in a completely different way. It's the same thing again in the invoicing topic as well. And it is becoming extremely important topic because it's becoming mandatory in many countries, in not just in B2G sales, but now in B2B and B2C as well. And this will force every company essentially to comply with new regulations. And it will be quite difficult to look up all of these regulations per country. And the other thing is that they can change as well. And then because it's an ever expanding, ever sort of developing topic at the moment, it is quite important to be kept up to date. But as Mark said, we do have a content team and our content in what it does. So basically, we make sure that all of the information that we have, not just for the VAT determination, but also for invoicing, is up to date. So basically, our solution can help international companies. They can streamline their invoicing and tax reporting compliance. And what's really important, that it's just only one solution. So we cover around, I think, 60 countries on a global perspective with e-invoicing. And some of the benefits, and one of the most important benefits are using our e-invoicing solution, is that it's one solution. So basically, one integrated solution can help you automate this full process, and it can help your finance team to focus on other stuff rather than always looking up what other mandates are with regards to e-invoicing. Also, using our solution, it can help an enhancement usage of your business systems. And why? Because your ERP, or the SAP ERP, can be integrated, or I should say the other way, our solution can be integrated with your ERP. And definitely with automating this solution, it can save you costs, save you time, and it will give you easy maintenance as well. And then, of course, having only one solution, giving you free time, what it means that you can have easy access to new markets, you can expand to new markets, and then you can focus on other topics other than e-invoicing. How does it work? So on this slide, you can see a little bit of a simplified version of how the e-invoicing solution works. Basically, it integrates with your ERP, with SAP, with the different versions of SAP as well. And basically, it will enable to create invoices and transmit them via the tax authority portals or the PAPL network, depending on the country. And of course, you will be able to also receive incoming invoices as well. Why choose us? But basically, it's a seamless integration via an API. It's all via ready-made connector. It's secure, and it is scalable. So it means that, if currently you are in one or two countries where there are invoicing mandates, that's not a problem, because in the future it's very, very easy to add more and more countries. So currently in Europe, there's a number of countries such as Portugal, Italy, Hungary, where there are live reporting or e-invoicing mandates. But there are more and more countries coming up, such as Spain, Poland, France, and so on. And on the next slides, you will see our coverage at the moment. So basically, the green color means that these countries are already within our software. So I'm going to stop here a little bit so you can see which are the countries, and also within the countries, what kind of sort of invoicing mandates we cover. When you see the color yellow, it means that these are upcoming mandates, but we know about them. And then on this side as well, you can see that there are, for example, in Spain, an upcoming B2B mandate, and we also know about it. And as soon as it will be introduced in Spain, we will be covering it. And on this slide, you can see our roadmap for those countries which are also upcoming in our software and which are our priority countries. When we say the USA, for example, it is a big topic because USA is a big market. And then when we talk about USA, there are hundreds of thousands of transactions. And then when e-invoicing will be introduced there, that will be extremely important that all of the companies will comply with the regulations there, but not just in the USA, but in all the other countries too. And on this slide, you can also see which are planned countries. However, quite a few of them are already covered in our software. But after this call, we can give you a more detailed information on the countries too. And with this, I would like to give it to our partner, our lovely Mark from CUVIV.
Thank you very much, Sophia, and thank you very much, Mark, for introducing myself. So we are CUVIV UK. We are a tech service provider, mainly specialized in SAP services. We've been offering those services since 2009, so now it's been 15 years. And well, we had the opportunity to work with more than 175 customers around 45 countries with more than 50 digital transformations. And our team is made up of 75 employees. So what about our strengths here in CUVIV UK? Not only we can help you with all the finance and controlling topics, meaning accounts payable, accounts receivable, everything integrated in your SAP. Also, we offer services for legal and compliance for all the localizations. Here is the perfect example at the end, where we are going to show you our connector with AvaTax. We'll see later. Also, we can help you with all the new technologies for SAP in regard to Fiori, BTP. Finally, if you want to analyze all your cash flow in your cash books, we can help you to manage all the treasury reportings and all the cash management. And about to get value to all those data, we can help you and build with you anything related SAP Analytical Cloud or CDS views, okay? And let's show you some reference here about all our 175 customers that I said before. And one of them, well, they currently are using this connector to calculate all the US sales taxes, okay? So if you need any reference and to speak with them, we can share with you the customers that are running this connector currently. And why Avalara? Why Avalara? So this is a story. At the end, we were working with one customer that needed a long time ago to start the rollout with the US and a US company. And we realized that it was really, really hard to use the SAP standard to calculate all the US sales taxes. So not only it was needed to maintain a complex matrix with all the VAT codes or jurisdiction codes, it was really, really difficult. Also, it was really, really hard to maintain, okay? So then we realized that it was Avalara is a partner where they've been developing an easy solution. They do this magic and they can calculate all the taxes for each state, for each material, for each product. And not only that, they can also submit it. So at the end, why Avalara? Because it is not required to have this complex matrix and have one specific person or two persons in your day-to-day configuring this table with all the complex matrix. Now we just need to pull all the data to Avalara through this connector, and then they use the AvaTax, the calculator. They calculate all the rates. They send it back to us. We can have all this information in our system in SAP, and then they can submit it all the taxes to the tax authorities. Okay. So at the end, as Sophia said before, it is about how it works. No, at the end. Sophia said, at the end, if we want to calculate the US sales taxes, at the end, what we need is we need to identify the product. We need to then identify where was the sale done in each state. We need to understand how this sale was made, and also the customer, because you will see, and you maybe know, that there are some customers that they have exceptions, okay? So at the end, what we are offering with Avalara is we've been built this connector. You will have your SAP, this connector, and then we'll pull everything to Avalara. But of course, there is some configurations to be made in the AvaTax. So how we are having this connection between your system, the SAP, and Avalara? So we must understand that there is going to be a few interfaces where through an API, we will connect to Avalara. So the first API, the first interface is going to be on the sales order, okay? So we are going to get our materials. We are going to get where was that sale made, and we are going to pull all those data to this AvaTax, to the Avalara, through our connector. Then Avalara will calculate which is the corresponding rate for each scenario, and they will send it back to us. So we collect through this exactly same interface the rates calculated for each state and product. So not only we can have this first interface that it is on the sales order, also we have another interface with the sales invoicing. And why do we need to have two different types of interfaces between the sales order and the sales invoice. Simply, it's very simple, because at the end, what if there is any change or there is any modification on that complex matrix that we are not managing in SAP, that is managing Avalara? What if we have any change? So here we must connect again with Avalara. So we are going to send the same information with everything, all the data that we have in our customer invoice, and we will send it to Avalara. And the same process, they will send it back with all the correct rates. There is another interface where, as I said at the beginning, not only is about pulling all the data to Avalara and calculating the rates. It's not only about that. It is also about the submission of the taxes. Avalara can submit all the taxes by each state. So also we have this connector in that interface. The two last interfaces, one is in regards to the exempt customers. As you probably know, there are some few customers or the public administration, for instance, that they can have exemption on the taxes. So we can also maintain this interface through this connector. And finally, if there is any need to calculate for credit notes, debit, and cancellations, we can also work with that through this solution. Okay, this is really brilliant, but how it looks, how it will look in my system, no? At the end, we are saying that we can pull all the data to Avalara, Avalara does the magic, he sends back the rates, but how is going to be my day-to-day? How is going to be this connector, this process, no? At the end, we are going to maintain this SAP menu, where I will explain each one of them about the configuration. So, okay, how Avalara knows if this product is this one or there is another one? Because we need to maintain this custom table where we are going to specify which is my SAP material and which is the Avalara material. In this case, for Avalara, it is called tax code. Then it is not the same of the SAP tax code, okay? So material, we are going to have this map table. Also, we'll have a map in our system in the second table, everything in regards if it is a city, if it is a state, if it is a council, because at the end, remember how Avalara is calculating everything through the product and through the addresses. Not only that, also we need to maintain, because we are going to send to Avalara everything regarding discounts, surcharges, and post. We need to send them this map, no, at the end, where we need to specify if it was a transport by aerial or was for a sea, for instance. We can maintain also the types of designs for each document sales. And this is one of the key custom tables where we can maintain all the default parameters to make work our connector. Okay? We can exclude, because at the end, if you are running SAP, if you are running multiple types of sales documents, at the end, maybe you will not want to send all the invoices. Maybe you want to exclude one of them. Okay, so through this table, we are going to be able to control what we want to send to Avalara or not. Also, and this is really important for the production systems, we have a Avalara connecting test with a ping. Okay, this is really important because at the end, during all the implementation, of course, during the test environment or integration environment in SAP, we can do multiple tests, but at the moment when we are going to be on the production system, we must guarantee that all the interfaces are working properly. So through this step, we are going to check it. We have a product information about the connector. And finally, how do we know if the interfaces are working or not? How do we know? Through this monitor. So we are going to manage this monitor where you can see the traffic light, where if it is green, it means that all the interfaces work properly and correctly. But if it is red or yellow, that means that there is some error, or and we must resend it to correct the sales invoice. Okay, you can see also that we have two different types of logs. No, the end, when we are pulling all this information, we are sending this XML file to Avalara, and there are always two parts, no? The information that we are sending and the information that we are receiving, okay? And this is the reason why we have two different types of logs. And finally, this monitor is navigatable, so we can navigate to the sales order, we can navigate to the billing document, okay? And as I said before, we can resend those documents that are wrong or have any mistake through this another program. And finally, remember, we said the fourth interface was about the exemptions. So we can maintain the exemptions through this table, having this link between the customer and the exemption code. But then it means, Mark, that do we need to create as many touch codes as scenarios we have? No. We just need to create one single SAP touch code. Remember, the touch code for Avalara means the material, okay, the product. So at the end, we are going to just create one touch code, and then we will apply all the calculations during the sales order and the sales invoice. Here there is a simple example that I'm going to show to you, where you can see all the process in regards to sales order and the sales invoice. Here at the end, we have the sales order, where we are going to pull the information about the material, about if it was sold in this state, in this council, okay? We are going to put it to Avalara. We will resend all the information back, and then again on the sales invoicing, we are going to do the same. And how it looks at the end, the accounting document. The accounting document, as you can see here, we are just managing one single tax code, but as you can see, for each one, we can calculate all the possible rates for each scenario. Remember, it always depends about the product and about the address. Okay? Well, thank you very much. If there is any questions, we are going to...
That was good. Yeah, that was very interesting. Thank you, Mark. Also, I want to thank CUVIV team for their partnership with Avalara. It's extremely important to us. And we want to thank you so much for your time and all the work that we do together, Mark, so thank you. Right, so I see we've had some questions that were sent to us before the webinar, but one's popped up from Stephanie. Does this still work if you're selling FBA with Amazon? Obviously, that is fulfillment by Amazon. I don't mind taking that one, actually. I think when you are using marketplaces and social media sites, etc., it's actually easier to hit Nexus and quicker than any other formats. And if you are obviously selling through a third party, the inventory held in a marketplace's owned kind of fulfillment center may create a physical Nexus requirement depending on the state. So I think the answer is possibly. So hopefully that answers that one. We have and just let us know, Stephanie, and we'll reach out to you if you got any questions else. I've got another question here that came in beforehand. How long does it take to implement the Avalara connector? Mark, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, at the end, we need to think that here we are going to have our system, no, with SAP, everything configured, and all the configuration in regards to connector, all those tables, all the ping tests that we are going to carry out. We are talking about 3 months, so you probably will be on go live on 3 months. Okay, so yeah. It's really quick.
Thank you very much. And I think this one might be as well for you, Mark. You've got kind of ECC and S/4HANA. You've got different versions on premise,
Yeah,
you know, and then you've got kind of the cloud versions. Does the connector work with all of these versions?
it works with all of them. So at the end, you have to think it doesn't matter if you are managing an SAP CC or you are managing an S/4HANA on premise. At the end, we are having this interface between Avalara, and it works with all of them. Okay.
Thank you. We had another question in called, do we handle 1099s? Sophia, I'm going to give that one to you.
Short answer, yes. Yes, we definitely do handle 1099s, and also the W9 documents. So it's fully automated, and quite a lot of the customers have decided to use this software as well, especially the ones who are European based. One of the reasons being is because this can cause quite a lot of problems if the wrong documents are sent back to your customers in the US. But yeah, we do handle them as well.
Sophia, I think I've got another one I'm going to throw at you, if that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we kind of talked about tax determination being really only a US issue. So do we only cover the US for tax determination?
No. So we cover 198 countries, if I remember correctly, within Avatax. But yeah, we have the VAT and the GST content on a global perspective, and not just the VAT and GST, but we also cover custom duty calculations as well, which can be also quite difficult sometimes to calculate. Then we can help with HS code classifications. So yeah, not just the USA.
Yeah, I think it's also worth mentioning that Brazil has an even more complex kind of tax regime than the US, and I know we've got a solution for that as well. Thank you very much. I think this one's from Mark. Are there any specific configurations that are required within the SAP modules to get the integration working with the CUVIV Avalara connector?
Yes, it must be configured the sales and distribution module, the SD module. So because at the end, all those interfaces and connections, it must be with the sales orders and sales invoicing. This is the only requirement.
Okay. Thank you. And I think this is the last question, which I'll give to Sophia. Obviously, we talked about ECC and S/4HANA. Does Avalara work with any of the other SAP solutions, Sophia?
Yes, we do, and we do work with CUVIV as well, with customers who do not use ECC or S/4HANA, but like B1 or by design. But yeah, we do work with them as well. We have connectors.
Well, would you believe it? We've got all the way through the webinar. We've been all the way through all the questions. Thanks to everyone who submitted a question. I think that wraps up everything today. So I'm going to thank everyone who attended and everyone who will be looking at this recording in the future. I want to thank Mark from CUVIV for joining us and attending today. Thank you, Mark. And Sophia, who's my colleague and my friend, thank you again for joining me today. And yes, the recording will be sent out to you soon. And just please have a great day. And remember, come to Avalara and CUVIV if you've got any global complex tax requirements. We'll be happy to help you. So thank you, everyone, for attending today. That concludes the recording.
Thank you.
Thank you.